Let's see here. What does this thing say? All right. Welcome to Buckle Up Podcast Universe with Brandon Rush and Mama Rush. Today we have a couple things here. One, we hit 5.4 million listeners, and we are in 17 countries and on 6 continents. And we are very excited about that you all are taking to our stories. So we're going to have one of my really good friends on here today, Ed Maddox, who works in computer programming is the best way to say it. And he's going to be on here, and I'm looking forward to having Ed. Ed's a dear friend of mine who I know will have a great story to tell of his own, and we are excited to have him on here today. And he might possibly come on with his French Bulldog, Frank, who I've met Frank several times. I'm a big fan of Frank, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get Frank on today, but if he is, we will have Frank on here for our furry friends and furry family members that we have as part of our Buckle Up podcast. All right, so we'll just wait for Ed to tune in. Recording. You here, and Ed should be on here in just a second. I see his name popped up. He's probably just logging into his computer.
Okie doke.
Ed,
what's up?
It is great to see you, my friend.
Likewise.
Well, Ed, look, first off, welcome to Buckle Up Podcast Universe with Brandon Rush and Mama Rush. My mom's on here, Ed.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hey, Ed, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
Doing great. I have my picture up today. Sometimes I'll be live. Well, I'm live, but behind the pictures. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you're having a good Memorial Day.
Absolutely. You guys too, Ed. What did I knew that I know you're busy this weekend, heavy. So I appreciate you making the time. You know, like I called you randomly and I was like, Ed, can you come on? You're like, I'll do it. So that means the world to me.
Yeah. I today I don't have much going on. I think just some friends coming over, but yeah, first weekend home as a married man, I guess.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you.
Oh, congratulations.
Tell us about it, Ed.
I just wanted, to say that in the beginning so that all the ladies that are about to text me for yes, just know that, hey, I'm married now.
Yeah.
I know Michelle can hear me in the next room, so I did it.
You're off the market, officially off the market. I saw your wedding photos, man. Where was that? Yeah. Where was that wedding at? Your wedding looked immaculate.
Yeah, it's actually it's called the Atlanta History Center. Is the general property, like the overall. It's a museum basically.
Okay.
On the property, there's a house called the Swan House, the building.
Okay.
Which is where those pictures were. Also, they filmed the Hunger Games, the President's House.
Oh, really?
It's filmed in the Swan House.
Oh, man.
I think there's some CGI around it, like there's a crowd below and stuff when he's up there, but the building and like the upper area is,
Dude, your wedding looked absolutely beautiful from the pictures you guys took to even, I liked how you changed up your outfit from like regular black to James Bond, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I had a few Britney Spears outfit changes. So
okay.
I'm kidding. I only had one. Michelle had no, she only had one also. Yeah. Okay. I was just thinking. Because there's like I don't know anything about wedding dresses. There's the trail or train or whatever you call it. And they put that up and then it looked like a different dress, but it's really the same dress. But then she switched into another dress. But no, I was we were looking at pictures of tuxes and the black and the white jacket looked really good.
Yeah.
And since I was, there's this local shop that I was having them custom make these tuxes. And I was like, well, it wouldn't cost much more just to throw in an extra jacket, same pants. And so that's all that was. It just switched.
Okay.
So I was extra cautious during dinner because it's a white jacket and food and even like when you're hugging like people like ladies that are wearing makeup. So I mean, anyways, it was kind of a effort to keep that thing clean. I think it did a pretty good job, but yeah, that's all that was.
Man, that was amazing. Ed, what was the name? Can I ask you the name of the shop if you're able to get out the name of that shop that you got your jacket tail? You always know the place to get clothes done at.
Yeah, I found it locally. It's called Robert's Men's Suits. And yeah, they do custom suits in addition to off-the-rack suits. But I was very impressed with how they, for example, the day you go there to get measured and stuff, tells you to wear like basketball shorts and a very light t-shirt because he wants to measure the skin, like to the skin. If you measure someone your jeans and stuff like that, it's not an accurate measurement. So, just the level of detail I knew I was in good hands once he started doing that because, if you're
Yeah.
getting a custom suit made a month and a half before and it doesn't turn out right, you're in
Yeah.
trouble. You gotta like find some. So, but once I went there and had all that done, Michelle and I were there for like 2 hours.
Oh wow. So he's
Our
detailed.
appointment time, doing all the measurements, and you make like a million choices for all of
Okay.
them. So yeah.
And how long does it take? How long did it take to make your suit or your tuxedo, whatever you got?
Well, I think technically 3 weeks is enough time
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
to do it. We had a little more time, so I think it was a little over a month that I came, probably like 5 or 6 weeks, and then I came back. And then you do one try on after they make it, and then they
Okay.
do final adjustments, and you do a final try on, and it should be good to go at that point. So you need to go back 3 times. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ed, question for you about that too. Was that a guy in San Diego? Or was that a guy in Atlanta?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's in San Diego. Robert's Men's Suits out in Point Loma. Yeah, go check them out. Nothing but compliments for them. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that, Ed. So I love the wedding. I love what you're wearing. And did you wear your Jordans too when you're dancing, or you go something else?
Absolutely not, man.
Oh, you didn't? You didn't go Jordans?
No. I love sneakers. I've got, I don't know how many out here under the desk, but there are boxes of stuff in there.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that to Michelle. Wear Jordans with a tux. I just wear like the slippers, like the velvet slippers.
Okay.
Oh, those are nice.
Yeah.
And then mom, Ed knows how to dance. Ed, you danced professionally for a few years, didn't you?
No. People always no. So I never danced professionally. That's, if you're a professional dancer, you're getting paid to teach and travel. No, I did it as a hobby. And I was very into it for
Oh, great.
probably 6 to 8 years, I would say, before I
Wow.
over time, I stopped doing it as much, and then it just kind of fell out of my life as a regular thing I do. But I would travel and participate in competition with this stuff, but I was never professional.
Okay.
I think I was pretty good, but I was never, yeah.
What style
I can't say I was
dance?
professional, huh? What's that?
What style dance? What style dance do you like?
It's called West Coast Swing.
Oh, that's
Yeah. So in 2010, I would say my brother was living with me, and he was involved in this stuff. He had did it in college,
mm-hmm.
But not really West Coast Swing in college, but just like the clubs or the recreational stuff that you can go to. They have like ballroom dance classes and
Mm-hmm.
go to. I never did anything like that in college, or really before this ever. But anyways, he had found this, I don't know, ad or something about West Coast Swing, and he went out and tried it, and he loved it so much that he kept asking me week after week because he lived with me. He's like, "Hey, brother, come do this thing," and I was like, "Swing dance?" I'm like, "Absolutely not."
Mm-hmm.
But after, I don't know, he was trying 3 or 4 weeks. I was like, "All right, I'll come." And so I go with him, and we show up at the place in Atlanta. This is Atlanta.
Yeah.
And there's this place called Wicked Westie. They still exist today, actually.
Okay.
You want to go and you want to learn a West Coast swing dance, I think it's probably every Wednesday, and they have a beginner lesson still. I know the guy that runs it. His name is Alan Anacella. I haven't talked to him in quite a while, but I know him. He's a good guy. Anyway, I show up and people are dancing to music like you hear on the radio, and it looks choreographed to me. I'm like, how are they knowing what to do? Because
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of dances you see, or most dances you see, like partner dances,
Yeah,
especially ballroom dance, it's very I don't know if I would use it like rigid, like probably not the right word.
stiff maybe.
Well, whatever the leader does, like for example, if you were going to do the waltz and you're a leader and you got to do the dance, and the female or the follower does not,
Yeah.
you could grab her and go to the music, and it wouldn't look good, but you can move her with the music, and she would probably get the right steps eventually, like
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. West Coast Swing is not like that at all.
Okay.
There's no indication from your partner of the exact steps you need to do. You're kind of on your
Okay.
active via your hand. So when you're watching it and you don't know what's going on, it looks like it was planned beforehand. You're
Wow.
like, because you're not grabbing the person say, come this way, come this way. You're usually only connected by a hand at a distance. You're open position. And what you're doing, it's what I've heard it called an educated dance. Basically, both sides have to know exactly what to do, you know, within the language. So there's a language that you communicate through in the dance. And based on what the leader does, the follower will do something. Based on what the leader does, the follower will do something to respond. And there's also a lot of room.
Give me 1 second. Sorry, Ed. I messed up my headphones for a second, Ed. I'm so
You're
sorry.
good.
Hold on 1 second, dude. Let me do one thing. Sorry, guys. This is my fault. I gotta do one thing real quick. Bluetooth off. Sorry about that, guys. I am right back here. Oops, Zoom. Ed, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, the sound went out for a second.
No worries. What was I saying?
You were talking about the lead and the follower and the direction taken by the two. Yeah.
There's like there's like a language you're speaking through your movement and your hand and your body position and stuff. And the follower will be following your leads, but in West Coast Swing, there's also a lot of room for improvisation. So say you lead a move that's normally 6 counts. A lot of times when you're out social dancing, if it's like to something in the music, and you do this on purpose as a leader, you give them some freedom and like time to shine, if so to speak, or do something, you know. And so they might extend it to 8 counts, and you just, as a leader, you're supposed to wait until they're done. Now they shouldn't do this all the time, but my point is that looks very much like, oh, you planned it beforehand when that happens in real time. And so when I showed up and I was seeing people dance like this, I was like, I couldn't believe it was not choreographed. I was like, this is choreographed, right? Like, how are they knowing to do all this crazy looking stuff? And it's to music you like you hear on the radio, any 4/4 time song within the right beat per minute range. So, you know, pop, you know, R&B and rap are kind of the more modern, you know, the songs you would dance to. But originally it started like in old blues music and stuff. So you can go from all the way from, you know, like old blues music to, you know, modern like rap music, and so the variety is there. So you could spend, people that do West Coast Swing will go to these events, and I used to do this. And dance from like, for social dancing might start at 10 p.m. and they'll go to the sunrises.
Holy smokes.
Wow.
And then they'll do this all weekend. And then during the day, you wake up, if you know, depending on how late you were out, or if you have a competition, you might have to wake up at like 10 a.m. or maybe a little earlier to, you know, do your competitions. And so there's a competition portion. The only ones I ever did were improvisation. So they do have a choreographed version of the competition where you would get with a partner, you two are together, and you choreograph and plan some dance to a song. And those are just called routines, right? I never did any of that stuff. Professionals tend to do that kind of stuff in addition to the improvisation stuff. So you can think of it as like, you know, writing raps down and then recording an album versus doing freestyle. So I did the freestyle stuff because, one, there's a lot less work and I could just show up and do it. But also, I mean, I thought that, you know, I don't really like routines in the sense that, like, I can watch them and they're fun in a sense to watch for the first time or maybe a few times, depending on how good they are. But to me, I really love watching the professionals, especially improvisation dance, because making this up as they go, and it's just all that more impressive to me. But yeah, so that's what I do. There's a competition called Jack and Jill, which is you get a random dance partner and a random song, and each song until you get to finals, and then you're stuck with your partner and you dance like usually a spotlight or something like that. And the other one is called a Strictly. I don't know where these names came from, by the way. Jack and Jill makes sense to me. I don't know where Strictly comes from. Strictly means that I guess you're strictly with one partner, but it's you know, random songs. It's not choreographed. It's all freestyle. So I would only ever do those two things. And it's funny, you get like a point. There's a point system, which I don't even know how it works anymore because it's probably changed. But you start in like novice, and then after you get a certain number of points, you're kicked out, or you graduate to intermediate. And from there is advance, and advance is where I stopped. So after Well, after
Awesome.
advanced, there's another category called All-Star. It's like basically you're not a pro yet, but you're too good to be dancing in advance. You're gonna,
Yeah.
and so they put you in another category. And you know, a lot of times All-Stars will dance with the champions and competition stuff. So there's this whole world of
Okay.
um this dance, and it exists in a lot of other dances too.
Oh,
But
wow.
West Coast Swing is the only one I did.
That's
Well,
awesome, man.
I need to ask a question. At your wedding, did you all dance? Did you and Michelle dance at your wedding? And did you get the
Yeah.
audience up and everybody? So tell us about it.
Yeah, so there was no West Coast Swing, at least planned West Coast Swing from I think I did it for like a minute with a friend but no, Michelle and okay, so one of the groomsmen, his name is Newell. He's been a friend of mine for decades at this point. I met him in West Coast Swing.
Okay.
They primarily a ballroom dance instructor, but he also does West Coast. So I asked him, you know, I flew him out for a weekend to visit San Diego and asked him just to show us some moves for a dance. I don't know the exact name of the dance he taught us. I think it's called, maybe the slang word is called boxy.
Okay.
It's a box step in the same way a waltz is a box step. So you go 1, 2, 3, that's one side of the box, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But it's usually a lot bigger because you know you're going like old classical. I don't know, and the steps are a lot bigger. But this one is a lot smaller area. Like the box is a lot smaller, and you just kind of like you're swaying. And you know there are turns and stuff that we added in there, and a dip, actually 3 dips. But
Okay.
it was very simple, and it wasn't hard to learn. Honestly, I think it's a good option for anyone who wants to do a wedding dance. It looks like you know what you're doing. So.
Yeah.
Well, is your wife a dancer as well?
No, she's not, but she's pretty natural at it, to be honest.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. That's great. So you all had an entertaining reception.
Yeah, it went by so quick too. It seemed
really?
Yeah, because the wedding's was at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Hotel hour from 6:30 to 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
And then people moved into the ballroom around 7:30, and then it closes at 11. So that's about 3.5 hours of stuff. And so you got speeches, you know, we poured champagne, we did cake cutting, we did the dances.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's food. And so it just seems like there's one thing after another, which is nice because you're like, wow, this is a big production. But it was very entertaining. Not a moment that there wasn't something going on.
Well, Mama Rush wants to ask another question.
Yeah, you're good, Mom.
How did Michelle capture your heart?
Well, one day I was at Whole Foods and I reached for an avocado and I saw her reach for the same avocado. And I looked up and saw her face and I was like, you know what? You can have this, but I have to get your number for this avocado.
Oh.
And then, you know, the rest is history. Or at least that's what I tell people. But actually we met online on Bumble, so.
Okay.
I always tell people that avocado story.
Ed, that sounded like Lethal Weapon too, brother.
I don't know. I forget what happens in that movie, but it's a good movie. I know that. So,
yeah. I'm like, that's the story to Lethal Weapon too.
Yeah. Every time someone asks how we met, I can see her roll her eyes on the side of my vision because she knows I'm about to say that same story over again. So
it's great though.
We met on Bumble. Great. That was, you know, a lot of people, you know, we met on Bumble before. I think I've heard that they've changed it so that now guys can message the women.
Oh, really?
Yeah, first. Like it was back when, you know,
it was just girls.
First. So, you know, honestly, she hit on me. And then I was like, all right, fine, I'll talk to this lady.
Yeah. I always found it so interesting that you guys and girls meet online. And I would be so scared to even think about that process. But that's how the world works now.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say, you know, meeting someone in person is very difficult because you don't even know if you have any of the same beliefs or value system or nothing. And so it's like, you're kind of just rolling the dice, you know, versus you can kind of feel these things out.
Yeah.
So you know, and there are also filters, you know, funny thing, Michelle paid to get like the advanced filters.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, she did. I gotta tell you know, I gotta embarrass her a little bit for this because you know, she likes tall guys. And so she wanted a height filter, and her height filter was 6'2" and above. And I'm 6'1.5",
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna round down. So
Yeah.
I round to 6'2", and so I just met the cutoff for her filter.
Yeah.
And you know, I might make fun of her sometimes, like, really, 6'2" and above, that's your standard?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm like, well, I'm not even 6'2", so I guess
You're the man.
but you know, she has a reason for that. She said that no one would lie about being 6'2".
Wait, what? Every guy lies about their
Well,
height.
no. Like, it's kind of true. If you're gonna lie about your height on it, you would put like 6 foot. If you're like, let's say 5'11" or 5,
Yeah.
you're not gonna go in there and put 6'2".
Oh, no, not at all.
Because then it's like, it's too obvious.
Yeah, you can't prove that unless you can prove it. Like, you're close enough to where you can prove that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, I just tease her about all that sometimes. You know, whatever. I don't mind. I'm 6'1", so I got you.
Yeah. Well, how long did you
So
stay online?
the point is, boys, put 6'2" on your height, and you're.
Yeah. You heard it first here from Ed Maddox. You heard it first here from Ed. Mom, you had another question.
Yeah, I love that all our viewers, and we have a expansive number of viewers now. Brandon, where are we with numbers?
We're at, and we have 5.4 million viewers, and we're in 17 countries and 6 continents.
Wow.
So with that,
I say I don't get canceled.
I want y'all are something. I want the young people to hear, and the young people and anybody dating out there, the process that you're talking about, because it's so interesting. So how long did you stay online before you decided to meet in person?
Oh, yeah.
It's hard for me to remember, but I would say we chatted for maybe, I don't think it was over a week before we decided to meet up. I mean, it might have been a week, but oh, you know what? One thing I remember, I think I was traveling during that time, and so I was coming back into town, and I was still chatting, and then once I was available, you know, I knew from very early on, like, I was like, this girl's really cool. You know, you know, a lot of times I think in those dating apps, it can just be very, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up?
Yeah, seriously.
And it's really not, it's not
Surface
a
level
conversation. It's just like being nice or making small talk, which is fine. I mean, it's awkward as it is to talk to strangers you've never met on like through a phone, and you know. But I just remember, you know, chatting with her. I could tell she took a long time to respond. And what I mean is, her responses were kind of long. Like,
okay.
you know, I would ask a question, and she's like, "Oh, that's a great question." Da da da. You know, or and then it would be like that, as opposed to, you know, where'd you grow up? Oh, South Carolina, and that's it. You know, like, like, so it was very natural. And you know, especially when someone puts that kind of effort in, you know that they're
genuine.
You know, they're there to, you know, meet somebody, not wasting all this time writing, you know, thoughtful responses and nothing. You know, so yeah.
That's
great. That's interesting tidbit there.
Absolutely. Ed, I want to say this, man. You're one of my dear friends, brother. I absolutely love. Oh, thank you, brother. I absolutely love and adore you for a couple reasons here that I want to say. One, when I first met you, man, I've been coming out of grief and depression because I literally had just lost my dad. And so Matt was trying to help me get out of that depression. He said, hey, man, come on down to San Diego. You're one of the first people I met, Ed, and I can tell you from the moment I met you, you've just been like the realest friend to me, and I consider you family too, because you talked to me. You said, Brandon, I lost my dad too, and I want to give you this book. And I can't remember the name of this book, but you said that this helped you out during your grief journey. So that said a lot to me about your character. And then even the next day, you went and met me for breakfast, and you took me to this place that was. He was like, "Hey, man, you like this place?" So I went and met you with breakfast.
Hash out to go.
Yeah, it's delicious. But Ed, I wanted to talk to you about, even with the book that you gave me. I'm not sure if you remember the name of the book, but if you wouldn't mind, kind of, because I want to get some of your story too now as we get go into it, because I know you're originally from Georgia too. So I'm going to hit all three of those, Ed, if that's possible.
Yeah, I can find the book. You know, it's funny. The way I found that book, I'll have to.
It's okay if you don't know the name.
Yeah, no, it's called Still Here.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And it's, you know, from what I understand, he's a pretty, well, a famous or well-known author, and like yoga I don't know the name. I'm not in that world, so I
Yeah,
don't.
neither am I, man.
But my boss at the time was, or still is, he's very much a yogi and, spiritual. And, when had taken time off, to go attend to my dad,
Yeah.
who was, going through cancer and stuff, he recommended me the book. And, I was like, I thought it was very thoughtful of him, let's put it that way. I was like, okay, well, I don't know if you can help me or anything, but I'll read it.
Yeah.
And so I actually got the audiobook and would listen to it like traveling home and back. So I didn't actually literally read it, but audiobook.
Yeah, still. Yeah.
And the audiobook was kind of soothing in a way because I remember the voice of the audiobook kind of went with what was being said. But yeah, it was just uh I mean, the title says it. It's about embracing, aging and the fact that people die, and it's part of life, and it kind of helps you through that process. Even
Yeah.
though it doesn't help as much, too much because there's a personal aspect of it that
Absolutely.
you can't remove yourself and be like completely, oh, this is just part of life, like Yoda or something, like, let it go. Yeah, it's very difficult to do that, but it helps, it helps
Hmm.
get some perspective on that. And so yeah,
Absolutely.
I think it helps with the grief process for sure. Something like that, a book, or just reading about other people's experiences.
Yeah. Well, Ed, I just said I love you for it, man. I appreciate you, your friendship. You always make time for me. Even if you're busy, you still make time every time. And that says a lot about your character. That says a lot about the people that raised you too, and says just you as a human being. That's why you have so many great friends, I think.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, I was definitely, I don't know what's the word, touched a little. I wish I could have more folks at the wedding, first of all.
Yeah.
But we were full to the brim. I had folks that I would love to invite, but it just kind of comes down to all the people that have been in my life.
Absolutely. It's a lot. Yeah.
I don't have that much money, so
Yeah. No,
I don't know. Like these wedding things, man. It's a racket,
it is.
cost. But anyways, yeah. I was touched just with the folks that were there. I even said it during some, like, hey, they give you the mic and I have to say some words or whatever. But just looking out in the crowd and seeing all the folks from different periods of my life, like folks I've known for 30 years since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All the way to folks that I've met, after moving to California, and just
Yeah.
they know a different. Well, they don't know different me, I would say, but they know me from a different period of my life, and so it's just kind of cool to see everybody there together. And it was cool to see people meet each other for the first time they never met.
Yeah.
Like my childhood friend, Doug, met like my newest friends.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
It kind of bringing that all together. Like I said, you're great. I know all the people were there. The only downside to you, if there is a downside, is the fact that you went to University of Georgia.
Ah, please. Oh
That's the only
gosh.
fault I have to say, if there is one for Ed.
I know it's a big downside having won 2 back-to-back national championships.
Okay. No lie there.
Almost three. Almost
three.
Man, if we'd won that third one, you wouldn't even have me on the show because it'd be the first thing I've been talking about. Like 3 for 3, baby.
Yeah, but you know what happened, Ed? And here's the funniest part about that. You wrote me that day. It was me, you, and Matt on a text thread, and you wrote a comment saying something. I'm like, Ed, you might not win that game. You got a little bit too cocky there. And then you guys lost that play. It was a playoff game. Yeah, and you guys ended up losing, but that's all right.
Yeah, I wasn't. That third year, we were definitely skirting by.
Yeah.
Every game, it was a nail biter almost. I don't say every game, but a lot of them that shouldn't have been. So
yeah,
compared to the previous 2 years, where I was like, this is nice. This is what it's like to be Alabama. Damn, like just be everybody,
yeah.
Until we play Alabama, of course. But that's a different story.
Absolutely. Well, I was happy for you, man. And Ed, that's why I want to get into University of Georgia.
Yeah, and I would say I was also happy to have given Matt the gift of being able to go to a championship.
Oh yeah! Wow. Yeah, I saw that.
I told him I don't think the Carolina the Gamecocks getting one. So you can come to ours if you want. And
yeah, that's a good friend. Hey Ed, I would have gone, man.
Yeah. What's that?
I said I would have gone too, man. You can't.
Yeah. Honestly, though, it was the worst one to go to.
Was it?
He went with us to Georgia TCU, and we just crushed them. It's not really a good game, It's like halftime 30-0 or 30. I don't know what the score was, but it was not
a good one.
The previous year was much better when we beat Alabama to win. That was.
Oh yeah, that was a big one.
I'll never forget that moment in my life.
Were you at that game too, Ed?
Yeah. I've been any natty. I'm probably going to go to this point. Well, it depends.
Okay.
I've seen two. Once you've seen two, it's kind of good.
Yeah, once you've seen two, you're good. Ed, so
what's funny?
Sorry.
In our wedding, it's okay. Michelle wanted us to write letters to every guest.
Really? That's a lot of letters.
I know. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
So, the last few days of doing this stuff, I helped her write. I was like, I'll take my half.
Yeah.
You can clearly tell the difference between a letter I wrote versus her. Hers is very lovey-dovey and and mine's I gotta throw a joke in there or something. So some of the letters I wrote were just to my Georgia friends and to Matt, and they were like, I think I'm a comedian sometimes. So it started with like, man, I can't believe I actually did it. The green grass, the beautiful weather. And then, when I looked up and I saw Keely Ringo catch that, we're talking about the wedding. And it's like, Keely Ringo catch that interception in the final drive. I knew we were going to the promised land. It was the best day of my life. And then I was like, until today, of course.
Yeah.
So anyways.
No, it's good, Ed.
I try to make it funny, but
no, you are, Eddie. Ed, you are funny. As I said, my mom liked the video when we were in San Diego about to go on a boat, and you guys were quoting me. I keep it 100, man. I keep it 100. Mom loved that video. I'll have to post that one.
Yeah. Let it do what it do.
Yeah. That makes sure my mom didn't accidentally cut off her sound. But Ed, a question I had to ask for you is this: how did you end up going to University of Georgia? What did you study? So I would like to know that process, because we have Buckle Up University, which is kind of helping kids navigate what they're going to college for or what they're going to be doing.
Well, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
Like a surgeon.
Yeah.
Before that, I also wanted to be a fighter pilot a little bit, but my eyesight was 20/20, and at the time, you couldn't just get your eyes zapped and become a fighter pilot. And I don't know, I'm very picky. I didn't want to go through Air Force Academy and then get assigned to like some big old slow propeller plane. So anyways, I kind of I learned about, what the process was at the time, and it's like, I'll do something else.
Okay.
Nowadays they'll just zap your eyes if you're but
not at the time.
But also nowadays they're mostly doing drones, and they're not as many fighter pilots now anymore. I just like roller coasters a lot, so I really want to thrill. Anyways, I don't know why I'm going too far into this.
No, you're good.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a doctor. And so for years they would call me Dr. Maddox at high school and stuff like that. And I went to college for pre-med.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You don't know what you want to do at that age. I mean, I was like, yeah, it'd be cool to be a doctor. Just the idea of just having the skill and I don't know, the knowledge and skill and people trust you.
Yeah.
To cut somebody open and fix them, maybe save their life, back together, and then they go on. That's just such a cool idea to me. But after going to college, and the first couple of years were fine. So in high school, I didn't really have to study because you're forced to do homework like almost every day, right? So my studying would be doing that homework oftentimes, I'll be honest with you, like on the bus on the way to school and stuff like that. And I would always get it done. I was
brilliant.
But those habits are not good for college. If you can excel really well in high school and do it that way, it doesn't teach you to do it well in college. And so I had the Hope Scholarship, which is free college if you have a B average or above in Georgia, which still exists today, but I think they've raised the requirement. Maybe it's 3.5, like 3.5 GPA or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the first couple of years, I was literally just getting all B's because I was applying like the same habits. But on top of that, I would say more than anything, I just wasn't interested in it. It was more of, I was memorizing things. I would like biology books, and I was always more of a math and science, like applied, like learning chemistry and the math part of it, or like I like that, but just memorizing things wasn't. And so when you're pre-med, you pick major and then you add like pre-med with pre-med focus. I don't even know what that really means, but
Okay.
you're going to take anyone, anyone can take the MSAT.
Yeah.
You could get an art degree and take the MSAT, they don't but to prepare you better, you should take, biology courses because some of the questions are somewhat related to that, I think, and also chemistry. But so I was memorizing everything, and it was very it was like, it was very difficult to find the motivation to study that, like to actually spend the time reading the chapters and memorize it so that I could take the test.
Yeah.
Piece. Versus, math, I was always, I could just learn it and then I could just do it afterwards. Like
Wow.
once I learned, did a few of them, like, okay, I get it. And
Yeah.
there's a certain element of like problem solving that is fun to me, like figuring out if you're doing a proof in math, like the puzzle.
Yeah.
Of creating that proof and like, oh, I did that, and you wrote that. That doesn't apply when you're just learning and memorizing things. And so it was very difficult for me to stay on top of my schoolwork when I was pre-med.
Yeah.
This went all the way up through my junior year. I'm doing this begrudgingly, doing enough just to get a B in these classes. And,
yeah.
To be honest, I probably likely wasn't going to do well on the MSAT because I just didn't, study that stuff enough.
Yeah.
But then the breaking point came when I took organic chemistry 2. So
Okay.
I was taking the first one, and while there are a lot of elements of organic chemistry that I remember being pretty cool to learn about, like, you learn about basically how the world works, as far as, well, chemistry related to organic,
Yeah.
like, nature and biology. And so that was kind of cool. But then the second semester, I got a really hard professor. And I remember just not following along a lot.
Yeah.
And I wasn't spending the time to learn that. And so I actually, for that class, for the first time ever, I got a D.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I've been straight A student in B's.
Your whole life.
Yeah. All A's in high school. And then, I got 1 B in high school, which I was kind of mad about. But in college, I was all B's and A's up to that point. And then I got a D. And so to keep the Hope Scholarship, I had to retake that class next semester. You have to get 2 A's to offset a D. And so I did it because, it's like when I'm up against the wall and I have to do something,
yeah.
Like,
you're kicking gear.
Yeah. So I did that. But then, and I got out, I was like, okay, maybe this is my record. I need to really, study.
Reevaluate.
Yeah. Then after that comes biochem. And so I took biochem the next semester. And I was in there, I was like, I hate this. I hate this stuff. And so at the same time, I happened to sign up for computer science elective that same year, this year, after all this has been going on for 3 years.
Yeah.
I remember getting that class, and within the first week, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Oh, wow.
Because it's the same, I'm learning how, like a skill set that I'm immediately applying to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the homework is doing that. Like you learn how to program some new thing, you take the skills you just learned, you make the program, you submit it, and that's your homework. And it's fun. It was fun to me. Like, like a big puzzle. And so, yeah, within a few weeks, I changed my major to computer science. I dropped biochem. I didn't even finish that class.
Yeah.
And from there on, it's history.
Wow.
And, I remember my mom's from Taiwan, and in Asia, being a doctor or a lawyer is like you're being a god.
Yeah.
She had told my grandparents, her parents, that I was in school to be a doctor. And so what do? They told everyone they know and every family member that Ed's going to be a doctor when he's, in a few years.
Yeah.
So when I told my mom I changed major, all I remember her saying was, there's a pause. She goes, oh no.
Oh,
she has to tell, because
her parents
could say, oh no, we told everybody. And then they got so, but I think it worked out in the end. I'm super glad that happened to me through, some luck, just me picking that class. And then, finding, not everyone finds something they're good at, and something that it's hard to find something you're both good at and you like to do.
Yeah.
For life. Right?
And what's so good, what Ed's doing here, Brandon, and I want people to understand, it's never too late when you're young to change your
Yeah.
mind about a situation, and don't let parents or pressure make you stay on a train that track
Yeah.
you don't want to be on. And so, on your at your junior, I think you're a junior. You stated a junior when you change your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's great for people to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To know.
That's true. I had to take because I was in school for 5 years after that. Well,
Yeah.
not
Figured.
5 years total because I changed
You had to do
schools.
the classes.
There are different
Yeah.
electives you got to go back and take. I had to go back and take, different maths that I didn't have to take with biology and stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was totally worth it. And to be fair, I never really felt any pressure from my parents
Oh,
to
good.
do that major, but they were expecting everything was going right and I was going to be a doctor. But yeah, it was, yeah, I mean, but I know that's not the same for every situation. There are a lot of students that feel a lot of pressure from their parents
Yeah.
to do a certain major, for sure. Yeah.
Ed, there's one thing I want to say because I know the audience doesn't know this about you, but I know this personally, and I don't mean this lightly when I say this. You and Matt both, are two of the most successful friends I have. I know that they can't see where you live. I know they don't know you personally, but you are extremely successful. So you are proof to those people out there, even though your parents might not have, even I'm not saying anything about your parents, but I'm saying, even though Tom's parents might be, oh, Ed's not a doctor. I know right now that your mom and your dad are both beyond proud if they have been to if they've seen what I've seen
Yeah.
and know, and you living in San Diego in that incredible house, the nice car, you do well for yourself, Ed. I'm not like, I got to talk. You're doing well for yourself, beyond well. I said most successful friend I have.
I know my mom's super proud.
Yeah.
She likes to tell people, what I do and stuff. So, yeah, I know I've been, very blessed. There's a combination to be highly successful. There's an element of luck combined with hard work
Yeah.
and so if you are lucky enough to have the two intersect at the right time, you can, but it's also a lifelong thing for sure. I mean, like the thing I was talking about where I had to get the 2 A's to, I've always been, if I feel the pressure to perform, I'll do it. Like I always tend to rise above that. And so, especially when you get more successful too, the pressure can build up. So it's kind of like, yeah.
You got to perform. You mean pressure to perform, Ed? Is that what you're saying? Like kind of pressure?
Yeah. Because when you get, as you go up in your career, you're expected to be more effective.
Yeah.
So the pressure is there
to deliver.
You battle sometimes imposter syndrome.
Okay, really?
Yeah. They even have courses on this at Netflix about like when you join, like imposter syndrome is a real thing.
Yeah.
But you're also told that you're here because we see something in you and you're here for a reason. So
absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, man. And I love what you said. Something that we say here, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
And with what you're saying, like of you having to rise to that occasion, I actually love uncomfortable situations because then I get to see what I'm really made of. Like when I went with my career, when I switched it to New York, the first established my career there, I set up like a time frame of doing that. I loved competing at that high level, but it was getting out of the comfort zone of being in LA. So I love doing that. So that's where one of those ways where I relate to you. And just the fact that I love that competition. I love the fact that when you had to get those 2 A's because you had failed, but now you got a D, but now you had to keep that scholarship.
Yeah, that's a little more embarrassing of a reason to have to perform because I failed one class, but
for the first time in your life, Ed.
Yeah.
You're giving a pass.
I agree. Yeah, but most motivation isn't so dire. It's more of a day to day.
Yeah.
I know I need to do at least some small step to the bigger goal every time I'm working on some projects.
Oh, great. You're trying to impact your company and you want your company to be the greatest company out there, not because they're impacting the world, but you as a part of that, you want to make sure that you do everything you can to do the best job you can and keep on changing and making it better and making it better and better, 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 better. And I always think about the stockholders out there. They're investing, the viewers, people are investing in time. And so we have to we have to be the best in that.
Yeah.
And then you have that competitive world within your profession. Okay, listen, I want to move on. So I know what I got to do. And that's all I gotta do better than that. And but some companies recognize it. As a company I used to work for, in fact, I'll say the name, Reynolds Metals Company. When you have aluminum foil this holiday or during the Memorial Day, you'll see Reynolds. I worked in that company, and they were great with me, and they gave me the opportunity to just expand my horizon. They let me move from one department to the next when they saw a desire for me to do something else, and they saw I could. And so I appreciate a company that recognizes that, and then they keep on moving you through the company whereby you can impact everybody. So that's why I always think about that particular company when I'm thinking about people in professional lives. So go ahead, keep on going.
Yeah, Ed, I know you probably have limited time, man, so I don't want to.
All right.
Okay.
I've got some time. Yeah.
All right.
I also I want to say folks that are wondering, well, it's okay, you can fail, right?
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the world. When I first moved to California.
And how did you get there too? Ed, you say that too?
Okay, so
sorry.
Okay, so from college, computer science, I changed to computer science. My first job was this medical consulting company in Snellville, Georgia, which is like a suburb of
Atlanta, maybe.
It's outer Atlanta, like
okay,
outside the perimeter in Gwinnett County. For those that are not familiar with Atlanta or Georgia, but basically in the suburbs. But I worked there for 7 years. I'm not known to jump around at companies, but I had success there, and it wasn't the same company for 7 years. We were bought by a bigger company that then changed its name, and so I went from junior developer all the way to senior developer.
Holy smokes!
So now there are different scales for these things in the tech world. So a senior engineer at a company like that is not equivalent or the same as, let's say, a senior engineer at like FANG, like Google, Amazon, Netflix. There are different levels to this, and so it's conceivable that you could come out of there as a senior developer, become a senior developer in one of these big tech companies, but you typically need a little more experience.
Okay.
Down leveled a little bit, but you're getting paid more, so who cares? It's just a title. But anyways, I visited California because of the dancing thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in like 2011 or 2012, I visited San Diego, and there was this West Coast swing event called Swing Diego. And I remember getting here in May, and I was like, "Is this weather just like this?"
Yeah.
I like, there are no mosquitoes, no bugs. I don't know if you know this, but if you're in Georgia and you leave a light on in nighttime, it's just covered in bugs. If you have a window open with no screen, that happens, you've got all kinds of bugs in your house. So just coming out here and just seeing all the difference, I was like, I want to live here. So I had a house, I sold it, and I made my way out here. I found a job at Kelley Blue Book.
Oh.
I worked there for about a little over 2 years, I think. But during that time there, I got recruited by Google. So Google sent me an email. It's like, "Hey, we'd like to interview you. We think you'd be a great fit." And I was like, okay. I was like, I got this. I'm crushing my interviews. I'll just do this interview. I really didn't study at all. Because I didn't think I needed it until the interviews I'd done up until that point. I literally just went in with the knowledge I have and passed them with flying colors, but so to speak. Jobs, but there's only 2 jobs, and there were never FANG jobs, so I didn't know any better. So I just get into this interview, and it's a bloodbath. I mean, it gives me a question, and I remember the question to this day, and I knew how to do it. Like, I knew the process I needed to do. In computer science, it was a recursive algorithm.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get it right. I couldn't write. It's a he basically wanted me to parse an expression, which can have a logical expression like and, or, and it could have not symbols in there, like not this or this. And one way to parse that is essentially what it was. And I just, because I didn't study, I couldn't think of on the fly the right algorithm to do it. And I was close.
Yeah.
It was a bloodbath, and I failed that pretty badly. And I was like,
wow.
oh, Google, I'll never get a job again. It doesn't really work like that though. And I just didn't have time. So for when you're interviewing for big tech companies, and maybe even it's more ubiquitous now as far as the style of questions, they ask you very difficult algorithms. And you have to be able to solve them typically with an optimal solution within an hour. And you give them multiple of these. So even if I made it past that phone screen, I would have to do 3 or 4 more of these before you're hired.
Wow.
And then there's also behavioral interviews from managers and stuff like that. So I didn't even get past the phone screen there. And I knew I didn't as soon as I was like, and then it's funny because then I look up, I knew exactly what to look up right after that, and I could write it just with some Google searches.
Wow.
Now, but that's the thing. They're not, these interviews are not, you're never going to do this in real life. I'm never going to get that question in my day-to-day job and then be expected to just write the algorithm optimally to solve some. First of all, those kind of questions, they've already been solved. These kind of questions, they exist in helper libraries and method, functions that you can use to do stuff like this. But what they're not testing you for that. Big tech companies are testing you for your preparation, your will to go and study and spend a lot of time learning, preparing for these interviews because of the work ethic.
Yeah.
They're not, your intelligence and being able to solve that problem, of course, is a piece of it, but a large piece of it is what I was talking about, doing the work beforehand, because when it comes down to it, for these types of jobs, you probably have 100 applicants for every one available. So they have to filter, like, well, if you can pick the cream of the crop, what are you going to pick? I want someone with the critical thinking skills and skills to solve the problem, plus the work ethic that would go and spend weeks studying before the interview. And so I didn't come up with this process, but I understand it more, because at first I was like, why would you ask me a question? That's a dumb question. I would never, I know how to do it. I just couldn't do it but really it comes down to is that's the reason. So folks, a lot of times are like, why do they ask these difficult questions at big tech companies? It's like, well, it's the best process that we've come up with so far as weeding out, picking the best, the person that's most likely to be successful at these companies. So after that happened, Amazon, about a year later, also recruited me, and they're opening an office in San Diego. So I having this knowledge now, I spent like weeks preparing. Once they sent, hey, we would like to do an interview, I was like, that's great. Can I have 3 weeks to prepare?
Ooh, nice.
And so what I do for 3 weeks?
Study all that.
Practice.
Yeah.
Read and practice. And like when work got off normal work day, what I do? I didn't go out and have drinks with friends and stuff. I would study. And then I would go to bed. And so I aced that Amazon interview.
Heck yeah, Ed.
So I got that job, but that's only because of the preparation. So I've not had that Google experience.
It wouldn't have prepared you.
Amazon would have missed. So
well, Ed, what a talent you are.
Yeah, seriously.
And guess what? Google wasn't supposed to have you, but Amazon was. So somewhere in the process, I always say God's blessings he has for you. The impact you made moving forward. And of course, they impacted your life too, because you learned something from the experience. But sometimes filters that they put on, whatever their standards for hiring people, they could miss some of the best people or performers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, but look at you, how successful you continue to be. And these little hiccups in the road, as I always say, as Mama Rush, will not stop what God has for you. And what difference you will make with the right company when you're supposed to be there, and impact them and keep on going. Never stop. Never get comfortable. Once you get comfortable, you got to figure out, you got to get uncomfortable again. And so you can continue to make a difference, not only for them if you don't want that job or be in that position anymore, but you want to grow as well. as growing the company, but you want to grow yourself. So I understand. I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you too, Ed.
Don't let that
Thanks.
defeat you, because you're brilliant. You're brilliant. You're a brilliant man. And nobody should take brilliancy. No one can take brilliancy from you. But anyway, go ahead. I don't want to just.
So
Mama Rush
but I
has
want
to
to say
tell her wisdom.
you're absolutely right about these interview processes. They're not 100%.
Yeah.
That you can totally miss someone that would have been an excellent hire, and even I'm not immune to that. I give interviews.
Oh wow.
As part of the job as a big tech engineer, you usually give interviews, and you're trying your best. Trying to identify, oh, this person will be successful. But it's not 100%. There's an element of luck. Like, for example, you could have spent a lot of time studying problems, but maybe didn't study one style of algorithm as much as others. And you just so happen to get that as a question, this kind of random that they ask you. And so you're not as well prepared for that question. But guess what? You could try again. Even if I really wanted a job at Google, knowing what I know, you could reapply. There's not like you're blacklisted forever. The only thing that would ever happen is if, like nowadays, if you were like caught cheating, like let's say,
with ChatGPT,
you could potentially be blacklisted forever. But it probably would be. But just simply failing, not passing an interview, it's like different companies have different what's called cooldowns, and so. I don't know if Google's is 6 months or a year, but you could reapply. So, anyone that's wanting to be in big tech, it's not the end of the world if you fail an interview. It's almost part of the learning process. I mean, I don't know how many people get a big tech job on their first try, but it's probably a very small amount.
Yeah.
Folks with perseverance and like the will to, correct, retry is the folks that you'll definitely get one if you have the work ethic. But
I'm so glad, not to cut you off, I'm so glad that you are saying this to
seriously,
so
Ed.
many people out there applying for jobs now, and they might not go back to that company, but you are really sharing some pearls here. I mean,
and dropping them.
In this business, and so this is so great. I am so appreciative.
I'm happy to share, just general advice to folks. And also, once you get in the door in big tech, it's a lot easier if you wanted to move to a different company, having had that experience in your resume. Again, I don't move around with jobs a lot. I mean, I've had 4 companies my entire career, over 20 years. So that's something I do. I like to, well, first of all, preparing for an interview is a lot of work, as you like. You got to do your day job plus that. But also, I'd rather just find a company where I feel fulfilled in and try and move away, as opposed to always jumping around. But there are reasons to move around. If you feel stagnant and you're in tech and you're like, hey, I feel like I should get paid more, I'm doing more than you're paying me, like I'm worth more than you're paying me, etc. If you have those thoughts, well, test it out, go interview. If you get the job with a higher offer, that's high, like if it's only 5% higher, I mean, I don't know if it's worth burning a bridge to like, I'm going to go here for 2 or 5% more money just because upset about it. But if it's high, you could bring that back and maybe you get a counter offer or not. But
at least one thing, you've already given yourself a raise.
But there's also folks that move around too much. That's also bad.
Oh my God.
You can move around, and like say there was a period where you could get like 20% raises, change your job while the things were going. You could easily do this too many times where now you're paid more than most companies will.
Outprice yourself.
So you're at this expectation. Well, if I move again, you're not gonna. You're kind of stuck where you are, and so. But I don't know where was it. So Amazon got that job. I worked there for about 5 years. I started, and if you may, it's probably easy to think, oh, I got to do is get the job. I made it. Well, that's just the beginning. I mean, if you get a job at a company like Amazon, having only worked at small companies before, you're gonna learn a lot really quick. So it's like sink or swim. A lot of times in life, we're, at least if I look back on mine, to get where I'm at today, there were a few key moments, I guess, that you got to take the opportunity and really run with it. Like, because Amazon's a hard company to work for.
Yeah.
Say, like, I don't know how it is today, but you're kind of, especially if you're in a remote office like we were, I didn't work in Seattle. I worked down here in a new office. They were just starting. You're almost on an island.
Wow.
Like, because I want to know how everything works, and most people don't question. They're like, I just started too. I don't know,
Yeah.
And Amazon's such a big company. They have so many agents, like 50,000, I think. Somewhere there.
Oh wow.
I don't know. That's a guess, basically, but
Yeah.
it's a lot. So much software, so many services, so many things. It's a lot, and then they have a pretty good onboarding uh, course from what I remember. But I mean, just to even run software locally for when I'm working on it was a very difficult process to learn because there's so many steps. There's so many security things you got to go through. Versus the smaller company I was at, it was like not even an issue. The security, let's call it red tape, didn't exist.
Yeah.
And also coming from at these big companies, they don't test you when you're interviewing for specific knowledge, unless it's a specialized role. They give you a general question and test your ability to solve it with problem solving, algorithmic like coding. To work at Amazon successfully, you need to know things about like remote procedure calls, services. Most of the language uses Java. There's just things that you don't get tested in the interview, and they expect you to learn them if you don't know them. Like, it could be a whole new world for someone who has never worked in that. Like, you have probably about a year to get good.
Yeah.
Or you're probably going to be facing like an exit.
Yeah.
So unless you're a junior, you have a little more time as a junior developer, I think. But I was hired at SD2, so I went from a senior engineer down to SD2.
Okay.
A little bit at Amazon, and so but it was a little scary at first, but really the only way to learn things in software is to do it. So you just gotta I'm working through examples and downloading tutorials, doing all these things inside the company, just going at 100% until I got comfortable and, could, I don't say, but yeah. So I did that. I did bot detection, and this is my first exposure to machine learning ever in my career, by the way. So there are a lot of new things going on. One, distributed systems is what we call it in engineering. So whenever something runs in Amazon, you can think of the old days where you might have a server that runs on your computer that sits on your desk, and you have your website there.
Yeah.
Or maybe you created a game and it runs on a couple boxes or a room full of box servers. Like World of Warcraft, they probably had a few hundred or a few thousand of these in some custom data center when that game was released like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now things aren't really done that way. It's all virtual servers and they're in the cloud, and you have hundreds of thousands of individual computers that are virtual. Right? And so just learning that leap is a completely different world.
Oh wow. Man.
Amazing.
In addition to that, machine learning, like, it seems like this, magical, because I didn't do machine learning in college, it was just traditional programming, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Machine learning, when you get down to it, is statistics at scale. That's what I like. And I'm not expert in it by any means, like creating machine learning models and stuff like that. But we worked with the data scientists that did create those models, and the data scientists are good at creating the models, but they're not good at like software and running services that host these models and such. So you need both working together. And so I'm on the engineer side, scientists on the other side. And so we had the system that would load machine learning models for the purpose of detecting robotic traffic. So in Amazon, there are constantly fraudsters trying to log into our customers' accounts or Amazon accounts for the purpose of committing fraud.
Yeah.
What'll happen is, this is common across industries and not hidden knowledge. Like Yahoo, let's say, or whatever has that email. Remember you see in the news sometimes, all hackers found the path.
Yeah.
People use the same password for multiple websites, at least today. And so what these hackers would try, or fraudsters would try and do, is they would take these lists of emails and passwords and they'd try them out on all Amazon and Google and all kinds of places to see if they could get into the account.
Yeah.
You know, there was a rule-based system before that, but so what we did was we used machine learning to try and detect and stop these guys.
Wow.
It worked really well. So that's for a couple of years. And then I went to Amazon luxury stores after that and did kind of like front end full stack work for like a couple of years.
Yeah.
Which I didn't find as interesting. You know, a lot of that work, people have to do this work, but for example, the button's not the right size or the right color or something, and that's not as interesting to me, you know, but is what I was doing before that. So, yeah, and then the pandemic came and someone told me that Netflix is full remote now. And I had another friend, that coworker that had left, went to Coinbase, I think. No, it was Stripe.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah.
One of those companies, you know, and you know, I learned about, you know, what they were offering and stuff. I was like, well, I'm not one to jump jobs, but you know, and now's the perfect time to get a remote job and stuff. So yeah, I applied to a bunch of companies, including Netflix, and I got a couple offers, including Netflix, and picked the Netflix one, and I've been there ever since. So yeah, that one too. That was another one where, you know, you're studying for weeks. I mean, I think I took 4 weeks on that one.
Oh wow.
Because I mean, a Netflix interview
it's huge.
Yeah, just even have your foot in the door as far as interview. You gotta. That's the moment in life where you're like, it's either, what is it, like
Sink or swim?
an end game where he's like, he got the one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. I mean, honestly, that's the way I felt. I was like, I need to. And it's not just interviewing for them. I was interviewing for a lot of other big tech companies for that time. And so I was like, I'm gonna get one of these.
Yeah.
You know, I've done my stint at Amazon. I was like, I've been there 5 years. Like, I'm ready to move on.
Wow.
Just hiring remote. And Amazon's a great place to start your big tech career, by the way. So
yeah,
I don't know how familiar you are with big tech reputations for work. Like,
you can say it. Ed, would you mind breaking that down real quick? Like, would you mind going Mom, did you have a question first, or are you good?
First of all, yeah, I want him to break it down. But what I want to say to you is that you are impressive. You
Seriously,
are
Ed.
amazing. I have seen how you have taken your growth in Amazon. Yes, I love their culture. I love that everything you learn from each other. You learn from those who knew certain things and they learn from you. And I love that within all of that, because I wanted to see if you brought that piece, but they are customer focused in everything you do. And that's within your own coworkers, your customer focus with your coworkers, and then your customer focus with us out here buying from Amazon. I can see why they've grown so much. But with that, now you took that talent, you've taken that talent, and you moved to another company, and you're impacting that company as well. So this is, I mean, I'm just impressive. This is an impressive journey. You know, Brent, this is an impressive journey.
I know it is, Mom. Yeah, I didn't know this much about Ed, but I knew that Ed was successful.
Looking at Ed can't see me looking at him, but my eyes are raised like looking through a magnifying glass at the brilliance that he has exhibited here. And not only that, with the people viewing this, how they're learning from him, just learning about that tech world. Okay, Brandon, finished up with him on this part.
Yeah, Ed, you were saying that Ed, you started to mention the fact that
him another time.
Yeah, Ed, you're gonna have to come back. I know we're holding you up on time, man. But Ed, the question one thing I want to do, you said that you don't know if you know. You said with Amazon, you said if you don't know about the big tech, would you kind of just break that down naturally, or
from our like engineer community?
Yeah,
the different companies have their different reputations. You know, kind of like any other industry. What's it like to work for this company versus you know, Amazon is a great place to get your big tech chops, is what I would say. If you're trying to get a job at one of the big tech companies, you know, it could be hard. It could be very difficult to win, like not win, but get a job, get an offer, you know, get past interview and stuff at like Netflix or, excuse me, one of the like a smaller company with a very, I don't want to compare the big tech companies, but like Netflix is a desirable place to work amongst the engineering communities.
Yeah.
You got there first and foremost just because of competition. they have their pick of the litter, basically.
Yeah.
And not to say that Amazon doesn't. Amazon does too. And when you compare the tech companies to tech companies to non-big tech companies, there's so many technology companies out there that need programmers. I don't know what is it. I don't know what the ratio would be, but usually people start there, including myself.
Yeah.
But Amazon is a great place to start because if you can make it at Amazon, you can make it at any of the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because first of all, it's a big company, and so there's a lot of red tape, which is needed for a company that large.
Yeah.
You can't just have willy-nilly free open everything. Oh, I want to access some data here. I can just go there and get it. It doesn't work for a company that big. There's too many potential for, leaks and, yeah. So first of all, you have to learn to navigate that system.
Yeah.
If I need help from another team, there's a whole process usually in Amazon. I gotta fill, managers have to talk to each other. You got to fill out usually a team has an intake form, and you can't just message someone and be like, hey, this thing doesn't really work as I expected. Can I do about it? They're like, file a ticket. And that's a product of being such a large company.
Yes.
And so it's that coming from a small company can be very difficult to adjust to. And sometimes I think folks may lose motivation. Wow, that's not going to do that either. But you got it. You got to do it if you want to have cross-team impact and stuff like that. You have to do that kind of stuff. But it's okay when you're a junior developer. But when you start to go up in your title, you're expected to have cross-team impact, like not just on your team.
Yeah.
And so again, it goes back to some of the expectations they have. It can be a lot of stress for some folks. But yeah, that in addition to just the performance bar is very high in Amazon. Just because big company doesn't mean it's not as high. It's high, and you're expecting you get performance reviews every year, and as long as you're doing well, everything's great. We're like, oh yeah, but if you're not doing well, and I've known of folks that have not been performing well. Eventually, they were let go. Now, does it happen all the time? No, but it happens. So basically, what I mean to say is there's no coasting usually at
you got to work.
companies. And Amazon is this unique combination of being a big company. It's kind of like a weed out course in my mind.
Yeah.
Versus the other. So yeah, if you make it at Amazon, if you get offered Amazon or you get an interview, go after it and then you really know quickly if you like it or not.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you felt challenged. I see you felt challenged.
Oh no, for sure it was challenging, but it's also really rewarding. I mean, honestly, after being there for a couple of years, I felt like I could do anything. You learn the basics of what you need to work on, and also, other companies use AWS. So I'm working at Amazon, and there was a portion where we were converting to using AWS. I won't get into details there, but just we weren't using AWS to a large extent. And then I think now everything it's hard to explain in a non-tech way, but for example, Netflix uses AWS. That's how they run their cloud infrastructure. So underneath, having worked at Amazon, I can just go into Netflix and load up the AWS console and do what I need to do. I already knew what to do. And so there's a lot of translation of skills from a technology perspective, like but also just how to operate and work in a big tech. You can call it a bureaucracy if you want, or just structure. Yeah.
Brandon, you see why I'm looking at Ed. I'm really looking at him in amazement because during Ed, while you were talking, I was thinking about the educational piece and what you do is you've informed the viewers so much, especially young people graduating, young people trying to figure out what they want to major in, what the process may be. And then not only that, just looking at you, and Brandon, I just think he should come on and just do that piece of education, because he has really enlightened me. And I thought I had been a professional out there with 4 companies, but I see where Ed is coming from, and this is wonderful. I want to ask one thing. Have you finished asking what you need to ask, Brandon?
Oh, Ed, I just want to give this quick analogy that you'll appreciate. You really are Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, you're starting off episode 1, you're Obi-Wan Kenobi under Qui-Gon, but now you're that Revenge of the Sith. Episode 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Get ready for Anakin.
Hey, well, I appreciate the compliments. I mean,
is what?
Yeah, I had to say, you really are Obi-Wan Kenobi. Seriously, Mom, you go ahead. Me and Ed love Star Wars.
Yeah, where is Frank?
He's downstairs. I'd have to go get him.
That's all good.
The only reason we ask about Frank, we now having pet owners come on and talk about their pets, and my little furry nephew died named Rex, and so we have a piece where people are talking about their pets, and Brandon's such a pet lover. I don't care if they have parrots, they have hamsters, chickens, dogs, cats, but I heard about Frank, and Frank knows Brandon, and I wanted to see if he recognized. Is that Frank opening the door?
I guess Michelle heard me say Frank.
Someone's opening the door.
Thank you, Michelle.
Is Michelle putting Frank up here?
It's Frank.
Frank. Frank got to get his time.
Yeah.
Come on, Frank. Mama Rush is here.
Ed, how did you guys, if you wouldn't mind just talking for a second, how did you guys, Frank, how did you find Frank? I know Frank's like your ride or die.
So I got really lucky with Frank because in hindsight, I shouldn't have. Okay, so it's French Bulldog. So I found a breeder, and I went to the American Kennel Club or whatever. I don't know if it was that one or there's 2 of them.
Hey, Frank, he's trying to look up and he's peeping. Put him up there.
Oh, yeah.
He's a French Bulldog?
Yeah. He's a great French Bulldog or blue.
Frank, Mama Rush.
Yeah, he's wonderful. I love it. He's a good dog, but I found a breeder on the American Kennel Club or I forget which one it was. It's one of the 2. So I trusted them, like that it would be a responsible breeder, let's put it that way. Problem with the French Bulldogs is that they're in such high demand and they cost so much money.
Yeah.
Backyard breeders, irresponsible breeders is pretty rampant. It's hard to find a responsible breeder because how much they cost, You see French Bulldogs and they see dollar signs. I found this breeder through, the Kennel Club or whatever it was, and reached out, and she sent me pictures. I have a blue male available, and he looked really cute, and I was like, I'll take him.
And pull the let me see him while you talk about him.
Yeah,
Frank.
I'm gonna have to move the camera.
Well, he looked at the camera. Let me look at him. Frank, we're talking about you. Oh, he's beautiful. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah. So when I got him, he was a little puppy, of course, like 6 weeks old. I picked him up. Actually, what I did was I flew up to because the breeder's in San Francisco and San Diego. Flew up to San Francisco, picked him up, flew right back. Like I didn't even leave the airport. And within like a day or 2, well, as soon as I got back in the bathroom, I was like, that's not right, because it was like liquid, like
Yeah.
So I brought him to the vet for a checkup, which I would have done anyways. And he had Giardia and some other parasite, I forget. In his intestine, which is causing the diarrhea. It took me. It was a pretty horrible month because first of all, I lived in a high rise, and so I'm having to potty train him, and when he has diarrhea, he can't really hold it. So it's like a mess, and I have him in the bathroom with a gate and like all the things. But it's still a horrible month because he had to do like 3 courses of the whatever the medicine's called to get the parasites out.
It was like antibiotic they gave him. It's
not antibiotic. I forget the name of the drug, but it kills parasites. And
good for the viewers to know that with the furry.
Yeah. And then the issue is that when they have diarrhea and they're in a confined space, they reinfect themselves. So you may clear it. Technically, you would have cleared it, but they touched it with their paw, and then they licked their paw, and then and so it's just like this vicious cycle. It took like a month or more to get rid of it, but And then I was like, well, I remember calling her and be like, hey, did you know Frank has Giardia? And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. That's the first I heard of that. And then I happened upon a review of her on Yelp or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Someone else left a review saying my dog had Giardia when I got it, and I let her know, and she said she didn't know about it. I was like,
wow.
you think she told me?
Yeah.
That happened. I was like, you might want to, the mother or the parents need to get, dewormed or whatever.
That's
And
correct.
she's like, oh, okay, well, I'll go check on it. Didn't sound like she was too concerned about it. And then I saw other reviews after that. It was basically, oh, she's a backyard breeder. And I didn't know any better because, as a new person, never having owned a French Bulldog before, I don't know. It makes sense now. I mean, like, I would, I don't know what I would do these days. But yeah, I would definitely be more, investigate a little more.
Yeah.
When you purchase
I
it.
want to see that, like, bring me to the place where I can see where the breeding's happening. You're not just like, because in hindsight, some of the pictures sent me, I was like, oh, these were like in our kitchen somewhere. I mean, so which necessarily isn't a problem, I guess, but it felt off to me in hindsight. And so I would say anyone who wants French Bulldog, do your research. Also, just know that they're expensive dogs to own. I mean, I have to give Frank a pill every day.
He takes what?
For his allergies. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it adds up. I mean, I think 30 of those pills now is like $300 or something like that.
Holy smokes.
How old is she?
How
old Frank?
Is she?
How old is he? Oh, he's okay. So,
is he?
All that, I've been very lucky with Frank. Overall, for French Bulldog, his health is very good. He's 7 years old and going on 8. Well, yeah. What was it? Yeah. Okay, so he just turned 7. No issues really so far. Knock on wood. The only issue with allergies, which I think every French Bulldog has allergy problems. So
Well, the reason I'm asking these questions, another question I'm going to ask is that I had a furry nephew, a French Bulldog, and do you have a chip in him?
Yeah, he's got photos.
Well, my furry nephew, a different dog, was stolen. Actually stolen out of the yard.
Yeah.
This French Bulldog did not like having a collar on. It was a female. Her name was Samantha. And she didn't like wearing a collar. And so she would go out in the yard and play. Evidently, someone in the community had been watching that dog and just came and took Samantha. And she was something else. I tell you, the family just loves Samantha. That's why when I saw, and they're very intelligent, highly intelligent. And if they don't like you, they will snub you. But Brandon said that Frank really liked him. And so, Frank, do you see Brandon? Brandon's looking at you, Frank.
I like how he puts his ears up and all. Frank's a smart pup, man. I feel like, I love Frank. I really do. Everybody loves Frank.
Everyone loves Frank. He's so chill. The only thing he wants to do is sit on your lap.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you tell Michelle, thank you for
bringing so much.
Frank in, because I wanted you to share with us Frank's story. And for those who have that breed of dog, to be very careful with that dog. They're very expensive. Put the chip in the dog. And that was what made, I didn't understand why that family member didn't put a chip in the dog, because I felt that chip could have located the dog. Sometimes was it a difficult process for them to get the chip? Does it hurt the dog or anything? Maybe that might be the reason.
The chip can only, it's not like a tracker, right? So the only way the chip works is if the vet scans it with a tool.
Okay.
So that person that stole the dog could easily just not bring it to a vet that would scan it and identify that it's a stolen dog.
Yeah.
Frenchies, by far, I have no doubt that they're the most stolen dog in the country because of how expensive they are. Small, and they're cute, and usually friendly. So
But the
Frank doesn't go outside like that on his own. He's
Yeah.
an indoor dog. He has a dog door that goes in the backyard, which no one can see in the backyard. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But with that, vets usually, and tell me if this is so because I don't know. Will if because you mentioned that Frank has allergies and that type of thing,
Yeah.
and you were I guess anyone who steals a dog like that of that breed would make sure that they go to the vet or take that dog to the vet. Do vets automatically check for a chip in any type of dog that comes in?
I think if they were suspicious, they would.
Okay.
But normally they're not going to. I've never been to a vet where I noticed that they checked the chip. Let's put it that
Maybe
way.
I need to suggest that to vets since we have
Yeah.
this program.
But
Yeah.
then again, I go to the same vet
Mm-hmm.
for many years. So it's not like I'm hopping around different vets. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I got this dog. Where'd you get him from? I don't,
Yeah.
And do you carry insurance? Do you carry insurance
Ooh, I
on
don't
her?
know.
So yeah, you talk about expenses. So when I've got Frank, yes, I have insurance. It was 30. I remember it was 30 or 40. So this is actually out through Amazon, ASPCA discount through ASPCA insurance. I remember paying like 30 to 40 a month in the beginning, and this is when he was, I want to say, 2 years old.
Yeah.
Sometime after that, I know he needed the breathing surgery. So this is very common for Frenchies. They go in and they like cut away some of their, it sounds horrible, and it kind of is in a way. But that flat-faced dogs oftentimes have problems breathing. Shih Tzus, pugs, Frenchies tend to have the worst of it. And one day I was walking him and he just seemed so out of breath. I was like, all right, I'll get you. And so insurance covered all of that.
Oh, nice.
Good.
5,000 is the yearly limit for that insurance, and the surgery was right underneath that. At the same time, I got him neutered, and so he had a horrible day when he woke up. And but
I'm not laughing at him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's good.
I got my money worth on that insurance, but pet insurance has pre-existing condition, stipulations and stuff like that. So why I was able to pay for that is because I had insurance from when he was very young.
Ah, nice.
If it's already a condition they have when you get insurance, they're not going to pay for it. And
yeah,
I understand.
And so, but ever since then, now it's up to like 110, 120 a month for insurance. I still pay it because if something does happen to him, I'd rather just have paid that and then get the 5,000.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So when you work for companies, let's just say where you're working now, do they offer that type of insurance for you to buy when you're buying insurance, when you're paying for insurance for yourself?
It depends. In some ways, the big tech companies kind of compete against each other for benefits. Employees, because that's one of the draws. For example, Amazon. One thing I did not like about Amazon is there's no food. One of their leadership principles is frugality, and they always mention it if you ever ask them, why don't you have food for our employees? We're frugal. Well, Facebook and Google and Netflix, they all have cafeterias where the employees don't have to leave. You just go down and get your food, and then you can finish your day of work.
Yeah,
the food's always really good. I love that when I'm in the office.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
As a guy who can't stop eating I love that. It's also bad for me. They also have the Netflix 15, as they call it. If you ever start working in the office there and you're eating that food every day, you
gain 15 pounds.
Yeah. One final question, not to cut you off, but one final question. What is what's Frank's favorite food? What does he love, and what do you buy? Because he has to have a favorite food.
It's that's a hard question because he goes crazy for some like fruit.
What?
Apples.
Oh,
it's a weird thing. Like if I'm eating an apple, he will run across the room and sit in attention like he just wants a piece of the apple.
What?
Same thing with bananas, but apples maybe I've noticed recently maybe his also popcorn.
Okay.
What?
Michelle loves to eat popcorn, and he'll just sit there until she throws him one. I don't know.
Amazing.
Weird. I think apples are probably his favorite.
It's something.
Yeah. And, kind of suits him. He's like a little pig.
Yeah.
But everybody hear this. Oh, Frank, now we know to buy you some popcorns and give you a bag of apples
and some bananas.
And some bananas when we come to visit.
Yeah.
Oh, that is great.
And of course he loves steak and chicken and stuff like that. But it's just the thing that sticks out to me is the apple thing. It's just so random to me. Yeah.
This is so wonderful to know.
Man, Ed,
oh, I love this.
Yeah, Ed, I just want to say thank you, man. I know we held you pretty long today, but Ed, you're always. I'm gonna want you to have you back on, and I know there's gonna be so many people that are gonna have questions for you that we're gonna have to have you back on too.
All right. Well, about that, I just want to say a few things.
Yeah.
I know. No, I guess the cat's out of the bag. I work Netflix. I just want to say I don't work in creative. So if anyone has any kind of like, oh, I have this idea for a show, first of all, I can't even listen to it. I'll have to cut it off, but I can't legally listen to that. Second of all, I don't work in that area. So I just, before anyone's like, hey, I have this thing for a show and I can't even help you. So I'm an engineer.
You can shut down the. You can shut down the.
I'm shutting down right now. I write code.
Shut it down
and I work in machine learning. So there's nothing I can do.
That's right. That's good to get that out there. When we appreciate that.
So Ed can't do any of that. For anyone out there, Ed can't. Don't pitch anything to him. Don't even ask him about it.
And also, I'll say, I just want, because this may happen because I get these in my LinkedIn account, like requests for referrals to Netflix. I just want to say too, at Netflix, it really doesn't matter about referrals. What matters is just on your resume. So it wouldn't really help you, even for me to give you a referral, and I wouldn't if I had not worked with you previously anyway. So I need to, I can't just refer people I don't know. That's not.
That's a human resource issue. Let them take care of that.
Absolutely.
That's a human resource issue. Let them handle that. But at any rate, we're so glad that you came out. And remember, when we do get questions, we screen the questions, and it's none like that. This is about a person's story. It's about sharing health tips. It's about teaching, educating, and that kind of thing. And that's what this platform will continue to be about.
Ed, I want to make sure we didn't cut you off if you were saying something.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, I was just agreeing with your mom. I just also, if you were to ask a question I couldn't answer, I would just say I can't answer that question.
Oh yeah, that's completely fine, Ed.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, Ed, we're gonna give you a round of applause. Ed, thank you so much for your time today, man. I miss you. Whenever I'm back out that way, I'll see you too. So
yeah, sounds good. Well, you two have a good Memorial Day. I'm gonna go grill some food for some friends. So.
All right.
Oh, that's good, Ed, man. Hey, give Michelle my best.
Sharing you. Okay.
And thank you for coming on, Ed. We always give everybody a round of applause.
All right, round of applause. Excellent.
And Frank.
Take care now.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you, man.
Bye-bye. This is wonderful. I enjoyed it.
It was amazing.